I see? Oh, little did I see. Little did I dream we all someday would return. Little did I dream we all someday. Little did I dream we all someday. Little did I dream we all someday. Little did I dream my dear.
Salute YouTube. What up? It's your boy Rod of God Podcast. I know it has been quite a minute since I uploaded. First of all, I want to apologize to any of my subscribers. Thank you all so much. I haven't posted content in, I want to say something like 4 months. And I lost some subscribers, but a lot of y'all haven't unsubscribed from me. And I really appreciate that. Quick little explanation. When I did the BEMA Awards nominations, I actually have a lot of ambitious ideas about the actual award show. And so it's going to be quite costly to get the things done that I want to get done. I just want to kind of up my game in terms of production. But I got, we black men, I'm under attack. I'll just leave it at that right now. I can't really speak much more on it. And so I decided to, focus my resources on winning this war that I'm in. But as soon as that war is won, I plan to go ahead and do it. I just can't make a large financial, I can't expend a large financial expenditures are out of question right now. And I didn't want to just keep streaming like I always had. But, something came up today watching Bernard Riley's channel. Shout out Bernard Riley. He did a live stream on Dr. Hasan Johnson's The 14-Point Black Male Political Agenda. And I just wanted to make, he encouraged him and Hood Conservative did the stream together. And, they encouraged other content creators in the space to, also do their own content on Dr. Johnson's political agenda, his proposal for a political agenda for black men. And so I decided to take them up on that offer. I will not be camming up because I look like shit. And I ain't about to make myself look better than shit because it's my weekend while I just lay around looking raggedy. And again, of course, like I said, I haven't upgraded my equipment like I plan to do very soon here. So, just to go ahead and get into it, the reason why I titled this live stream, Will the Real Goliath Please Stand Up? I'm asking a question here in terms of black men's political power in this country, specifically ADOS or FBA, Foundational Black Men, descendants of African slaves. Why we lack political power? The thesis of this live stream is a question here. Is it because obviously that battle to gain political power in this country is a David versus Goliath type of a battle, right? Black men being David and Goliath being, you would think, the Gynocracy. There are some who would say Goliath is white supremacy. I think a lot of us disagree with that wholeheartedly. But I posit another candidate potential for Goliath. Is it defeatist black men Black men who are so defeated in terms of their paradigm and their worldview, uh, you know, are they the real Goliath in this David versus Goliath battle for black men to gain political power? I posit yes. Hey, thank you so much, VR. I appreciate you, brother. But yeah, I posit that that's what it is. I posit that that the Goliath in this David versus Goliath struggle is our fellow black men who are so defeated in their mindset that they basically have the mindset of why even bother? It's too insurmountable of an obstacle. Let's just get on with the getting on. And I don't know if our fellow brothers understand that that is what they're doing, but that is certainly in my opinion, what they're doing. To be honest, I liken it to the same thing that we hear in this space from other men in this space who like to say things like, why y'all up here shame, blaming, and explaining to these women? Ain't nothing gonna change. Just alpha your way through it. Leave them alone. Don't say nothing to them. Don't talk to them. Like, to be honest, and no disrespect to Hood Servative, I have a lot of respect for the brother Hood Servative. He's a very intelligent brother, very intriguing insight in a lot of the subjects that we discuss in this space. But in my opinion, what Hood Servative's critique of Dr. T. Hasan Johnson's work came off to me a little bit dismissive and kind of cavalier with the obvious extensive amount of work and research put into the document. So that's, again, my thesis here is who is Goliath in the David versus Goliath battle when it comes to black men gaining political power? It is other defeatist black men. At least that's the question. And so let's go ahead and get into Dr. T. Hasan Johnson's article here. Now, I am struggle streaming. I'm going to do my best. I'm working on a very inferior computer. So I just hope it doesn't go to haywire. If it does, please comment and tell me, like, yo, it's not working. It's not working. Oh, thank you. Salute. But yes, let's go ahead and get into the article. Did I start sharing it? No, share the screen. Oh, did I start sharing it? No. Okay, so here we are. The 14-point black male political agenda by T. Hasan Johnson, Ph.D., and the 20,000 plus members of the Brotherhood of the Onyx Report. I'm not that familiar with the Brotherhood of the Onyx Report, but let's go ahead and go number one. Number one, family court reform. The family court's treatment of black men has unfairly and drastically diminished black men and boys' quality of life by privileging women as the primary caregivers. I don't think anybody could have anything to say about that. I just don't. Thank you so much, I've been calling you Latin patriot. It's Latina patriot. My bad if I've been misgendering you. Thank you. So, of course, no one has any pushback on this. On Bernard Riley's stream earlier, I did not catch this part of the live stream. So I just can't imagine that any black man will have any pushback on that. So I'm going to move on to the next one. Again, because I want to address some of the criticisms I heard leveled at this wonderful work. So then second was education. Educational institutions play a huge role in influencing black boys and men from preschool through graduate school. Yet the discrimination and underdevelopment they experience at the hands of teachers, practices, the administrative bureaucracy, and educational policies that do a great disservice to the supposed mission to educate black males. Facts. I have experiences in my own life. I am not to toot my own horn, but I am no dummy. I actually have a decent amount of intellect, which was confirmed by an IQ test I took at 18 years old. But I was told in second grade, I was put in back when I was young, I'm 41. When I was a kid, when I was in second grade, I was putting, it was called, I think it was called ESC or something like that, emotional or educational. So I was basically putting slow classes. You know, they say, you know, hey, you know, he's slow. There was a special class when I was growing up where if you weren't up to par academically with your fellow, you know, and the balance was not based on your fellow black, you know, students. It was based on all students. So I mean, you're competing with, you know, wealthy white kids all the way down the spectrum. So I was not competitive academically to them. So they put me in the slow classes. And now, why was I put in the slow classes? Why was it determined that I was, slow? To put it very poorly, it was because I was failing every spelling test, every math test, every test. Why was I doing that when I have this scholastic aptitude? It's because it had not been tapped into because of my sorry ass mammy and I'm gonna keep it above my sorry ass somewhat. I ain't gonna say that. My sorry ass mammy. Women are the educators of the community, right? Of any community, it is women who do the educating. At least that's the way it's supposed to be. And there was certainly no reason why my mother, who is fairly intelligent, and my father, who is fairly intelligent, there's no reason why my mother should not have sat me down and taught me how to read and write, reading, writing, and arithmetic, as they used to say. You know, reading, writing, and math. No one did it. And so when they put me in those slow classes, that shamed the whole family. And the whole family came together and said, oh, hell no. We don't got no slow children in this family. My aunts, I'll never forget, my Aunt Pat sat me down every fucking day. It was the worst experience of my very young childhood, having to get home, dreading the fact that as soon as I walked in that door, my Aunt Pat was going to be sitting there. She already done spoke to the teacher. The teacher done told her what my homework is. Now you sit down and make sure he do it. And she would sit me down, and it was the worst. She pull out that belt if I keep misspelling words. And you might look at that as abuse, but I'm not going to lie. It was transformative. It changed my life. If my aunt hadn't been on my ass, I would have never taken school seriously. And it was because of that. That was the impetus of me actually starting to say, like, oh, wow, like school is like, it's not just about going to school, playing with your friends, eating free lunch, because that was the incentive for us young, poor black people back in the day. It's not just about that. There's actually like, you can learn and you're actually good at this. And so I do one thing he left out of here that I would, put in here is the parents. But of course, you can't really legislate that. Or could you? That's a question. But again, I don't think anyone can have anything to say about this. We all know what's happened to our young black boys. I'm not going to get into my son because I'm just not going to do that right now. But a day is coming. I'm going to get a lot more into my own personal situation. I can tell you, I had to hire a full-time tutor for my son, and it will take his whole life to undo the damage that has been done by these very things that Dr. Hasan Johnson is mentioning. All of this, it's always put the black boys in these programs, and it's always ignoring the black boys' potential, and just put them over in a slow classroom like they did with me. Yeah, no. So yeah, I agree. I agree with number 2. Right, number 3, affirmative action. Double minority status for black males, where they have access to employment and higher payment income floors based on their race and gender. This is in response to generations of policies that disproportionately disadvantaged black males on the basis of their race and gender, most particularly affirmative action practices from the 1980s onward that prioritize white women and black women over black men. I did not comment on Bernard's stream at this point either, but I heard Bernard mention that Hood Sertive had said that, no, let's just do away with affirmative action altogether. And that is just mind-boggling to me. And that's why I titled this live stream, Who is Goliath? Will the real Goliath please stand up? Who is really the obstacle to black men gaining power? I believe that it was at least, not saying it's Hood Sertive, but I believe it was at least statements similar, or my thought processes like those on display by Hood Sertive this morning. Do away with affirmative action. Why, if we already know what we are in this society. whether it's because we are judged by the worst of us or it's because it's just white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. No one can claim that black men are equal in this society or claim that we're even equal with our women. So if there's a program out there that is helping our women, and Dr. Hasan Johnson is just proposing, hey, well, you know what? The way it's helping the women, our women, because you're counting them as a double minority, okay, count us also as a double minority. How could anybody have pushback against that? And this is where, you know, the whole, hey, I'm a conservative too, but I got to admit, there's a part of being a conservative where I believe that when black men first go from being liberals, like we're raised with our mothers overwhelmingly so, to more conservative thinking and political views, you know, there is a coon phase. Let's just keep it a buck, okay? It's the Rod of God podcast. We don't keep it a buck here. There is often a coon phase when you make that political switch. Because what has happened? Sorry, I'm gonna take a swig of water. What has happened? I can tell what happened with me. I looked at my community, quote the community, and you know, I said, man, no, our problems aren't, you know, all these other outside forces. Our problems come from within. I'm tired of niggas. All nigger than niggerdom. Latino American pure blood. What blows my mind is how what blows my mind is how the Spanish and non-English speaking students get extra personal help, basically getting a higher quality bilingual education. Bars. There is no, oh, he's a black boy who has been, you know, in this matrix of fuckery for generations. Let's give him more time. But let a foreign student, you know, who has a language barrier, well, let's give them extra time. And that's the only thing that Dr. Hasan Johnson is getting at. Equality, leveling out the balance is okay. It won't ever be fully balanced. That's something Hood Service says I agree with. Okay, maybe it won't ever be fully equal, you know, totally equal. That's probably impossible. I agree. But let's at least try to fight like David and Goliath, this metaphor. Let's take our stone and swing that motherfucker at it. Now, if it misses Goliath and he's still coming charging with his big overgrown ass, sling another one. But that's at least keep the stone in there. And this is what I don't get about a lot of black men when it comes to discussions about political power. There's always all of these criticisms leveled at the space. All y'all do is talk. Y'all not about action. Now, Dr. Hasan Johnson and others who contributed to this go about, you know, setting about action, and then it's, oh man, just forget about that altogether. Not only, you know, don't promote black men or improve the status of black men or improve it from the actual that black men actually benefit from it just like their women do. But no, just do away with affirmative action altogether. That's what I mean by that initial coon phase. Because we lived in these environments with these niggas, and we got to that point, we like, I'm getting myself up out of this. And when we worked ourselves, and we ought to be commended. Every black man who started out as a black boy in these types of conditions, in niggerdom, right? When we worked our ass off to get up out of there, right? We had to kiss ass, we had to code switch, or maybe we didn't. Maybe we just had to just bust our ass 3 times harder than our white counterparts at work. But we did it. And once we get out of it, there can be this, I mean, that coon phase that came in, now fuck them niggas down there. And I get it, because it was the pookies, quote unquote, you know, the worthless men, the sons of Belial, as the Bible says. Those were the men who were our greatest adversaries when we were trying to break out of this fucking muck and this mold that our own community enforces on us, right? I get that level of resentment towards them, and that level of, oh, well, I'll work my way out of it. Y'all niggas stay down there with that nigga shit. But the only reason why I don't go that far is because I was one of those boys and men, and I had to fight. And if other black men had reached out to me it wouldn't have been as hard on me. So it's kind of this like self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, bruh, you're never gonna have power when the things that your forefathers, the powers that they have been able to exert to get a country to say no, fuck that. Now, to even out the odds, give us favoritism in hiring practices. Give us favoritism in being accepted at educational institutions. Now they went and fought for that, and for a black man in this day and age to take your ass up on Kanye West internet and say, do away with the affirmative altogether, that you don't understand power. This is the same thing I would be getting at with religion. Nobody can talk about they want to increase power and then at the same time talking about abolish religion. You don't understand power. Women don't follow godless men. Newsflash. You're like, boy, well, look at all the pookies and stuff. And what are the results of those women? The type of women that you would be interested in, they don't follow godless men. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Most men don't follow godless men. Wicked people is a reproach to any nation. So again, people not understanding power. I just think that it's just wholly irresponsible to come at Dr. T. Hasan Johnson's document here, his proposal, and say, oh no, forget that, do it, and in fact, double down, do away with affirmative action. Fuck out of here. Number 4, targeted homelessness programs, especially post-incarceration. Black men should be prioritized for housing, as they are most often turned away despite having housing vouchers. Consequently, as Black America constituted half of America's homeless pre-COVID and remain disproportionately homeless, the majority of the homeless across race tend to be male. This makes Black males the most susceptible group to homelessness. I completely agree. A lot of brothers in Bernard's chat today, we all went on the record and said, we have been homeless before. We have had to live in our cars, right? This is something, there is no social net for Black men. Shout out Kevin Samuels, who really got that point across to the world. Y'all don't think about it like this, but for as bad as it is for men, period. Now, I add that to that, a Black man. And this is true. There is no I had a situation. I let a family member stay with me. They started showing their ass, trying to get me to evict them officially. My landlord wasn't having it. They weren't supposed to be in there in the first place. And I lose the roof over my damn head for nigga shit in my own family. Right? This has happened to countless of us. Or maybe it could be, some BS on your job. You get fired, couldn't pay rent, whatever the reason. A lot of us have found ourselves in a position where, we didn't have a place to stay. And what we should have been able to do is stay with family. But I'm not gonna lie, in my situation, I was like, I would not live with my family if you fucking paid me to. I just won't do it. I'd rather sleep in my car. But at the same time, why did I have that sentiment? Why do so many Black men, if they had to make the choice of sleeping in their car or staying with a relative, why would they choose sleeping in their car? That's also speaking towards the bullshit Black men got to go through in our own fucking matriarchal run families. So I agree with this. I do actually even agree with it, especially post-incarceration, because shout out to Crimson Cure. She did a live stream yesterday. It was brilliant, man. Check it out. Damn, I can't remember what the name of it was, but she was talking about Black men, domestic violence that Black women commit against Black men, and abuse, basically, not just domestic violence. But she was pointing out how this is all, and this is what Dr. T. Hasan Johnson is getting at too. This is modern day slavery, the incarceration of Black men. And now once they get out, they don't even have the ability to vote. So you completely disenfranchise Black men, often on some dumbass trumped up charges. I won't say trumped up, let's say, non-violent charges. How many Black men have been taken to jail over weed? It's crazy. So I agree with that, because once a Black man, if he is about his business, like, come on, this is the God channel, the Bible channel, right? God is the main one who focuses on forgiveness, because why? Human beings are fucked up. We gonna make huge mistakes and destructive mistakes. And if that's it, oh well, you fucked up. People can't live like that society will crumble. A society that says the moment you are human, even though I know you're human, the moment you do something human, that's it for you, off with your head forever. You're going to be looking at a widespread, complete revolution. They will burn down the fucking courthouses. And no, you can't do that. You have to give people the ability to make good, right? So if they get out of jail and they can't find a place to stay, what is that going to do? If they end up homeless, what is that going to feed more into? Maybe they'll stop and get some weed to try to level themselves down and try to decompress from all the pressure in living homeless after just getting out of jail. And now they get pulled over because they walking around homeless and, oh, you got weed, back to jail you go. So I agree with this as well. Number 5, targeted unemployment programs. Of course, I don't think anyone had any pushback on this. I mean, why would you not? As Black males experience unemployment rates at over 40 to 50% in over 34 cities prior to COVID, they need advocacy and policy that prioritize their employment on both racial and gender grounds. This is tying in, I believe, to the affirmative action tenet, right? So agree. I didn't hear any much pushback on Bernard's stream today about that. I'll go ahead and scroll down. I'm not going to read all that. Did I skip one? 6. That was 6. Just want to make sure. Sorry. Law enforcement. I did skip one. Law enforcement has been a major barrier and at times the source of injustice for Black men. I agree. Criminal sentencing reform. This is another place where hood service completely lost me. It was almost as if, and again, I'm not picking on hood service. It's a brother I have a lot of respect for, but I do think that it is indicative of a lot of the thinking of Black men who have pulled themselves up out of the mud or never in the mud to begin with. And it's not about empathy. It's just about being real. It's about power. This is a political agenda. Stop trying to distort what the Dr. Hasan Johnson is doing. If we're talking about power and how we need to gain it, and we need to, fight for it, and it's always this talk about all you do is talk and you don't actually do anything. Is there any action? Well, then that's the premise of this document, right? So if he's saying criminal sentencing reform, how can you to sit up there and act like, and this is what there were Black men, there was a lot of Black men around here, they niggas and don't even know it. I'm gonna keep it a book. That's nigga shit. To sit up here and act like Black men, the criminal sentencing of Black men is something that, oh, well, just get over it because you ain't never gonna change it, and that's that. I remember before Biden announced the student loan forgiveness, how many political pundits would say, oh, this is crazy. They're never going to do it. It's too expensive. You can never pay for that. You'll never be able to get that done. Why even bother? But guess what? And I'm going to give this to Black women. Black women got on Biden's ass. I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to give credit where it's due. Black women got on Biden's ass through their different, acolytes they have that represent them as a group. And they let Biden know, you fuck around and don't give us our student loan debt forgiveness. And come November, there's going to be hell to pay. And this is all Dr. Hasan Johnson is doing, which, by the way, he started this document in 2020. Okay. And it's been edited up until a couple months ago. So, and it's a living, breathing document. Some of the comments were some of those in the chat were saying at Bernard's stream, if you have a suggestion, email the brother. His information is everywhere. And of course, Cash App him. His Cash App is in the banner running at the bottom. Support Brother Dr. Hasan Johnson. Support Bernard Riley. And of course, support the angry man at all costs. At all costs. We need to always make sure we are allocating some of our budget, in my opinion, to at least those 3 brothers. At least. All right. But yeah, man, are you crazy? You know how much book, and I brought up the story of when I can say it now because it was 30 fucking years ago. But when I was 17 years old, growing up, I was a little of a hothead. And that's why in a way I overcompensate for it. And I try not to get into any, conflicts like that. I will on my man shit, but I try not to let it escalate to a point where I know it's going to trigger that part of me. That's still a part of me. I was a hothead, right? And so if you fuck with me, you're gonna have to run it. And getting back to what this document is getting at, this is when I first learned of what something called an affray. I don't know if you ever heard of it. An affray. Affray is the word. AFFRA. Affray. That's basically a legal crime they can charge you with for getting into a fight. But what do boys and men with testosterone do? They get into fights. And again, it's this weaponization of the code, the laws in our own country, weaponized to actually punish men for doing what is in their nature. A fair fight is a fair fight. Don't nobody need to be saved from a fair fight. Oh shit, I'm missing so much. My bad. Deacon Dave, thank you for coming through. Thank you. I know, bro. I talked about it at the beginning, man. Watch the beginning, bro. I'm so sorry, man. I'm trying to upgrade my systems here. Thank you. Kamala, cough, bars. But yeah, man. I'm 17. I'm kind of a hothead, and my brother. It was the craziest thing, man. My brother went into this grocery store with one of his friends, and they come out of this. Now, this grocery store is called Albertsons, and this grocery store was known for killing you if you try to shoplift. I am not lying. This grocery store had a reputation. People would try to shoplift from this grocery store. All the employees at that store would then come and just kind of like make a pile on you, like watching football. You see that they'll pile up. They would just pile on top of people and hold them down till the police came. And the people would often die, sometimes die. So this store got a reputation. You don't steal from this store. And like I said, nigga shit in your own family. I'm sitting in the car chilling. Hear my brother come out with his friend, and the whole store, all the employees are like following them. I'm like, what the fuck going on? Or bro, like, just drive off, Like, drive off for what? He was going in the store to get some cough medicine, some NyQuil, because he had a cold. It's at night. I stop off to let this nigga go get some NyQuil. He coming back out to the store, being followed by the whole fucking store. I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't pull out. I should stay right here and let your dumb ass go to jail. Why would you steal from Albertsons? They could have killed you. And he like, whatever, just drive. So I'm like, I ain't gonna do that. So I go to drive, put my car in drive. I go to drive. One of these store workers who's actually goes to my high school too. So he just got bold, kicked my car. Now you know how black men. I'm not men out. No, we're not gonna put on black men. You know how men are about their car. It was 1999. I don't know if y'all remember the motherfucking Mazda 626. That Mazda 626 came out. We had the damn ventilating, the oscillating air vents up the front. Man, that Mazda 626 was one of the baddest cars you can have. Man, that nigga kicked my brand new Mazda 626 with leather, gold on 10 leather. Bro, I lost. It's not funny. I drove out of the store. I mean, I drove out of that parking lot, and then driving out of that parking lot, some people were nearly injured, and I actually ran the car into the store. Now, this was an accident. My car jumped the curb and actually went through the glass automatic doors. And that's when I snapped out because I blacked out. It's not funny. I thank the Lord I've been delivered from my anger. But and so I drove off. And because of that incident, I was charged as an adult. And this is what Dr. T. Hasan Johnson is getting at, and some of us like Perfect Blackness was in the chat at Bernard's. That when black men do it, it's treated differently. Now, at the end of the day, a black kid, we're 17 years old. My brother's my twin. A 17-year-old kid stole a bottle of NyQuil. Someone kicked the car, and a 17-year-old kid, drove off forcefully. And yeah, it was obviously an accident, and it had an accident and ran into the store door, right? Okay, is that something to now charge me as an adult, as I've never been in any trouble other than these affrays, right? These fights. I've had fights, and I've been taken to juvie once, for my fights. A lot of my fights are with my own brother, so it's like, don't try to act like I have like this like rap sheet. I fight because I'm a guy. But they treated that as, it's a pattern of violence. Let's charge him as an adult. And thank the Lord, all that is dropped. That's why I'm not a felon. That's why I get jobs. That's why I can, get other things that you cannot do if you have a criminal record. But that was because this is how God worked it out for me, because me and my brother are twins. And they actually ended up charging me with as being the one who stole the NyQuil. because they were going off this kid who kicked my car. They were going off his report. He didn't know us apart. We were identical twins. He said that I was the one who stole the NyQuil. My brother was driving the car. So they charged me with, oh, by the way, that NyQuil charge that they put on me, guess what it was? You think it was shoplifting? No. Guess what it was? Strong arm robbery. A 17-year-old kid taking NyQuil out of the car was charged as strong arm robbery. This is the shit they do to black men. And the only thing that Dr. T. Hasan Johnson is getting at is, if that's the case, if it was a white kid that do it, would he have been charged as an adult? Number one, would he have been charged with strong arm robbery? Attempted, they charged my brother thinking he was me. They charged him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because of the way I drove the car. I actually didn't get charged with that because they got us mixed up. But because we were twins, they actually had to hire both of us our own private attorneys because there's a conflict of interest. There was some law where you can't have the what's it called, the public defender represent two of the same. In Florida, at least that's how it was. And so actually the county taxpayers paid for me my own private lawyer. My private lawyer, thank the Lord Jesus, got me out of there. That was God. There ain't nothing else but God that worked it out for me. If it were not for that, if it were not for God working it out for me, where would I be right now? I probably wouldn't be on YouTube, I'll tell you that damn much. The laws are designed to hurt all Americans to destroy this country. They began by destroying the men. Bars. Hey, Bernard, when keeping it real goes wrong. Bars. Hey, that's what I learned from Bernard. I'll never do that shit again. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. Thank y'all so much, man. But yeah, man, that's all Dr. T. Hasan Johnson is getting at. Is like, yo, you don't treat, you can't charge a black man or sentence a black man for something more severely than you do other white men. How can we know this? It's demonstrable in the data. And in any county, any court, any legal system, they have data. All those that when you go on, they put fingerprinting and put our information in, your black male, white male, whatever, they can clearly see this person stole cough syrup, got a shoplifting charge. This person stole cough syrup, was charged with strong arm robbery. Okay, so that's the only thing he's getting at. All this defeatist, well, you can't change that because white people are never going to look at black people. I'm the one who says that all the time. It's not about getting white people to treat you like them or getting those in power, because it's not really a race thing. When you really get down to it, it's a class thing. Like Latino was getting that. It's a class thing. That's really what's going on. And if you really, if you're going to treat, basically, if you're going to treat black men like worse, that's where you can say something. It's not about trying to say treat us equal, but you can't treat us more severely than you treat someone else on something that is data. Like, we actually have hard facts. This is all based in laws, right? Statutes. We can look at the statute and see. And so you don't get to do that. Sorry. And this is pushing back against that. It's not an empathetic argument. It is political. The damn thing is called black male political agenda. So stop trying to straw man what this man is doing by saying it's an appeal to your empathy. It's not. It's simply saying that as a political agenda, this is what we want. And I don't see how you could have any issues with that. I really don't. Like, for real, for real. So intimate partner violence, homicide policy reform. Despite stereotypes that intimate partner violence, homicide, aggression is the sole purview of black males, it is nigh equal, bidirectional, okay, in the black community, meaning men assault women to the same degree women assault men. And the numbers of interracial IPV, what's IPV standing for? Partner violence, intimate partner violence. Aha. And the numbers of interracial intimate partner violence, homicide amongst the 40 plus million black population is negligible, with data suggesting that women across race initiate violence first while opting to use weapons more often than men. Facts, facts, facts. I don't think I remember anybody having any pushback on that. I mean, how could you have pushback on that with the whole Duluth model thing, which has been debunked? As crap. Excuse me, Anger Man had a great stream, on the Duluth model, how it's bullshit. So yeah, no. I don't remember anybody like having a lot of pushback on that. We all know, like this whole, if we get called out to the house, we have to take someone to jail. It's always going to be the black man, So again, it's just this cycle of putting black men in the system and then thereby completely stripping black men of all their power. That's why I love this proposal, because at least somebody is standing up and saying something in a very intelligent, intricate, and even exhaustive. This is an exhaustive list. So shout out to Dr. Hasan Johnson. Again, it's cash out down below. Number 8, health, targeted cancer campaigning, treatment, and recognition. This one I wasn't that familiar with. I was not aware that this is basically saying black men are underdiagnosed for cancer. It's calling for us to be screened more, for us to get screened, better for these types of diseases, because that lack of screening tends to lead to our untimely deaths. I had an uncle who, died of colon cancer. I do know that is a thing, black men, dying of cancer. But I don't like, for me, like the one criticism I would say is like, let's just do the big points, right? But at the same time, I don't, I'm not hating. Let's put, like I said earlier with my metaphor, put all the stones. I think David gathered 5 smooth stones from the brook before that he would use to fight Goliath. Hey, he got 14 stones. Dr. Hasan Johnson has 14 stones. I'm not mad at it. I just, as long as it's like, I think it is prioritized pretty much in terms of like severity. So shout out to him. Number 9, targeted small business support, commensurate with our status in society and taking into account the lack of capital and inherited wealth. Black male-owned businesses should be targeted, particularly during COVID, for support. Amen. I cannot tell you. We've seen it. Who was it? Goldman Sachs or something? $10 billion for black women. And that's fine. So use this political agenda to say, you know what? Goldman can do that. And we know, we have a pretty good hunch why Goldman and others would like to just only target their support to black women or black women-owned businesses. But what's the problem with going to the government and saying, you know what? You need to do the same thing for us. Fuck Goldman Sachs. How about we go to you, since you technically are the one that owe us? And I don't disagree with that. I don't think anybody had any pushback for that. Number 10, Social Security and life insurance, family support, accrued Social Security. Oh yeah, this is where I learned, Game Changer, thank you, pointed out that these benefits normally go to the remarried spouse. I didn't know that. I thought it automatically went to the children. So yeah, we definitely as black men have to be more proactive and make sure we have living wills and things like that specify where any benefits could go. But let's keep it a buck, man. A lot of black people don't like putting people as they beneficiaries because they're like, then they're gonna come back and kill me. I mean, it was a slight joke, but I mean, I do know people who get paranoid if someone, becomes a beneficiary to their policy, or they're reticent about that because they believe that might entice that party to, go ahead and speed along them collecting those benefits. But in all seriousness, this right here is, I think, something that black men can do, pretty much for our own selves. Set up a trust for your children if they're under 18. We all know that, right? So number 11, paternity leave, federally mandated, nationally imposed parental leave for fathers on a state, private, federal level. This is something that is more for men's rights activists, I believe, or I think this falls in line with what they are also fighting for. And I agree. If women can take off 6 weeks after having a child, why shouldn't men be able to? I cannot tell you how stressful it is when your spouse first has a child on a man. It's extremely stressful, and women are not the same. It's not like there's this whole group of women who come and swoop in and help with the baby, and all you gotta do is work and come home. They got you a hot plate ready. No, you Mr. Mom. You changing diapers and you making bottles and all everything else that women typically would do. So I agree with that. Number 12, reverse voter disenfranchisement. Okay. Let me read it first. Allow black male ex-convicts to have their voting rights restored upon release from incarceration. For context, review the origins of voter disenfranchisement for convicts, and he goes into some of that historical context. This is one where I'm not gonna lie, I'm 50-50. I'm torn. On one hand, I totally agree that because of what we just went through in numbers 1 through 11, that black men especially should be able to, fight to, there should be a program, a process that they have to follow. They should be able to get their voting rights back. If it was like they were a convict, they got their lives together, and now that's in the past, right? Again, with my own example, if that were not the case, I mean, I was never convicted, but if I had been, if they didn't have to hire me my own personal attorney, I would have had some public defender who would just process me through the system. I would be one of these men, right? So I could see the unfairness of it, because it's not just about, that's what some people were saying in Bernard's chat, like, oh, if black men just don't do anything wrong and then you don't have to worry about it. That's bullshit. We're human beings. And we can't, in one corner of our mouth, talk about how easy it is for like a woman to get us hemmed up based on baseless accusations, and then say, oh, well, just don't get in trouble and it'll be all right. Like, fuck out of here, right? That's bullshit. Okay, so there is a such thing of wrongful convictions and all of that. So, and even if it's not wrongful, there is a such thing as grace. And again, a society cannot function where there is no grace. Look at all the societies that kept the poor and said, no matter what the fuck you do, you never gonna rise higher than this level. Look at those societies and see what happened. The revolution is always a part of that society's name. No human being, no group is going to sit and just take that forever. Like, they're just not going to do it. So you have to allow people to be able to redeem themselves to society. My issue with this, I'm going to keep it above, is that these black male ex-convicts are going to vote Democratic 9 out of 10 times. 90% of them are going to vote Democrat. And I got to give it to the Democrat Party that they got ahead of the Republican Party on this, and that they have been the ones out there actively fighting for the reinstatement of enfranchisement of voting rights to ex-convicts. So, they got ahead of us. So, of course, now if that ever gets passed, those convicts are going to feel an affinity towards a certain loyalty to the Democrat Party, which is what Democrats do. They target these groups. They make these promises to them to then get their votes. There's always groups that's going to be millions and millions of them. Now, first of all, never mind the fact that it was Democrats that put these men in jail. Name me the Republican statute that put black men in jail en masse. No, it was Democrats that always did that shit. So they throw you in jail. They say, hey, we'll get you out. Now vote for us. It's like, unfortunately, most men are not red pill. Most men are not unplugged, especially black male convicts. So typically, if that were to happen, it would just, increase Democrat power, and they are demonstrably, predictably, down to a second, they're against black men. I mean, that's just keep it above. They talk out of both corners of their mouths. They're duplicitous. They try to play us against each other. They try to divide us. So that's why I'll be against it, because that particular group of men, is not going to side with men who got themselves together, men who pulled themselves up out of the mud. They aren't going to look at it like that. They're going to see it as a handout, and they're going to see that as because it was a handout. Now, therefore, I owe that particular party loyalty. So I disagree with that. I'm going to keep it a book. Number 13, almost done. Black male specific reparations for the transatlantic slave trade through the 21st century hyper incarceration. Facts. Hey, I am a person, and I've always been this way. I could never throw like my energy and my strength and my even like financial support behind a reparations movement. Although at the same time, simultaneously, I agree, they are owed and with interest. The bottom line is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not one of these history buffs, but I'm pretty sure Spike Lee named his production shingle 40 Acres and a Mule to keep that as a reminder on every one of his movies that would pop up. as a reminder to this country that you promised our forefathers 40 acres and a mule when they were free, and they never got it. It was some brother, Nick Taylor, talking about, oh, we got ours. We own slaves too. I can't stand some of y'all niggas. You know, it's like we're having this conversation in this context. It's like, well, my family owns slaves too. Fuck out of here. It's like generation. I think that's a boomer, dude. You know, it's like, dude, well, we're not talking about that. We understand that some blacks own slaves. Stop straw manning the points in this political agenda. Like, stop it, okay? We know what we're talking about. We're not talking about black people who enslaved black people. We're talking about the system and the government that made it possible. And overwhelmingly, like 99.9% of slave owners were not black. So, I mean, just cut the shit out. So yeah, man, no, we were promised that. And those 40 acres of land, generational wealth, how can you fight against this tenet where it's basically saying you robbed us of generational wealth? You recognize that and then made a public declaration that you would remedy it by giving us this land and this livestock, right? And you didn't. So you owe us that. And so I'll never fight, even though I myself can't personally get behind it. I will never fight anybody who's saying, yo, you know, you should pay us reparations. There are so many other groups, as we went over in the chat, they tried to be dismissive of this. Oh, yeah, the Native American, oh, the Asian, like just dismissive. It's like, how can you be so dismissive of this man's word? You know, he put a lot of work into this. And, you know, let's just keep it a boy. Like, you're being that cavalier and dismissing the arguments just betrays the fact that you don't have a good counterpunch. You don't have a good counterpoint to combat or rebut the argument. The fact of the matter is this country has paid reparations to several groups, Native Americans, Asians, even the damn children who were being, the children in cages, quote unquote, that were being held at the border under Obama and then under Trump. I don't want to say Biden gave them like $350,000 each. This happened like a year ago. So how could any black man in this country, knowing that something like that just happened, they get held at a border for illegally trying to enter a country, and they can get $750,000 or $250,000, more than that, $350,000, right? But we who were our forefathers, our forefathers' labor was used for free. They were enslaved to build up the wealth of the country, and we ain't entitled to shit. And it's this whole like, oh, stop talking about it. Stop talking. It ain't never gonna happen again. Who is Goliath in this David and Goliath battle? I'm gonna tell you, it's black men. It's defeatist black men. It's men who say, oh, whatever, we never gonna get no reparations, so just stop talking about it and just get along with it. That's the Goliath. It's not the Gynocracy. Gynocracy is the second boss level. The first boss level is these defeatist black men. We gotta, you know, call this shit out. I'm sorry. I have a lot of respect for brotherhood serving, a lot of respect for the men who were of his opinion, you know, and Bernard Stream. But no, don't just, again, this is about political power. How you ever gonna gain political power if you don't deal with the shit that you are owed? Who gives a damn whether or not how realistic you think it is? At least fucking put it out there, because you never know. Like I said, student loan debt. Shit, just fucking forgave $20,000 of loan debt for me. I ain't hating on that one Democrat policy. And I would have never thought that shit was gonna happen. Like most of the country never thought that would happen. And it could still potentially get challenged in the Supreme Court. But for right now, I'm getting $20,000 straight off that debt. I'll take it. And if I wouldn't have gotten it if people took the attitude of just, it's never going to happen. It's too insurmountable of an obstacle. Let it go. Fuck out of here. And the final point, the final point of the black male political agenda as presented by Hasan Johnson, Ph.D., the United Nations, we charge the U.S. with the genocide of the black male. Now, I get it, and I completely agree with Hood Conservative on this. The UN is wholly corrupt. There is no, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell this black man to take this stone. I'm not going to tell David to take this smooth stone out of his sack when he going in this battle against Goliath. Keep that motherfucking stone in that sack. Because, it doesn't matter. This is a political move. This has political ramifications, by the way, if you don't know that. So that is why it's in here. And I think it's very interesting that he put this in here. And I think it's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. So yeah, let me go ahead and stop sharing. All right, yeah. So that's it. That about wraps up my my review of it. I just want to respond, and I'm taking up with what Bernard and Hood Server told us to do, which is, hey, you got disagreements, you go ahead and put your own out there. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in case anybody's interested in coming up. Oh man, I ain't never did this before. Hold on, y'all bear with me. I'm trying to figure out how to drop the link. Oh, there you go. There you go. Yep, copy the clipboard. And then where do I paste it? How do I paste? Where do I paste it here? What the fuck? I'm sorry, y'all bear with me. I'm just trying to figure out how to share the link. Struggle streaming. Thank you, VR, man. Oh, love y'all like that, man. Hey, that's a compliment right there, bro. Thank you so much, VR. I appreciate you, bro. And then I just hit that. Will that work? I'm gonna look at it on my other phone to see if that works. I can't fucking. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, that works, right? I think it does. Yeah. So if anybody want to come up, y'all feel free to come up. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. This kid don't want to come up. That's all I was getting at, man. It's like, if we're gonna have power, if we're gonna fight for power, it starts with documents like Dr. Hasan Johnson's political 14-point black male political agenda, his proposal to be our agenda. It starts with that. And again, I think black men should say, let's go this November 2022, let's write in a candidate just as a protest vote. But I don't know if we can afford that right now. Maybe not this year, maybe a midterm election some other way down the line. But I would like us to consider doing that just to show, while they're going, all these different news pundits are going over the election results, to show them like, what's up with it? There were 3 million write-ins for Patrice O'Neal. Or 3 million write-ins even. Oh my God, man, I can't believe this is happening, man. Bernard Riley in the house. Thank you for coming up, brother. What you got, man? I'm gonna shut up and let you talk.
No, I don't think I got that much to say, man. No, but good job. I'm mad that I missed it when you was asking for the link, because it would have been good to balance out, balance things out, because I mean you did a good job at pointing out some areas where it probably was, and I didn't want it to come off. I'll just say this: I didn't want it to come off like we was just there trying to criticize it, even though I knew with Hood Servative, I know his position on some things, so I know it would be some things that he would definitely disagree with, and there were some things that wouldn't exactly hot button issues for me, or things that I have philosophical agreement with. But I think you made the same point that, or a point similar to the point that I made, that at the end of the day, if it will benefit black men or boys, then I'm not trying to get in the way of it. That's where I'm at on reparations. No big fan. Big fan. But I'm like, if they can pull it off, I want them to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to get in their way. So that's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it. But no, it would have been great to have you on the panel to offer some balance in some of the areas. I'm trying to think of what,
you, man. But it was like, to be honest, BR, it didn't come off to me like it was just an attack on Dr. Hasan's proposal. That's not how that string came off to me. It was just those certain points that I mentioned that I was like, whoa, like there was a time where Hood was like, hey, if a 10-year-old goes out and kills, like, hey, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm like, bruh. It was just certain things like that. But it was more like what Hood Server was taking the argument or the discussion, he was taking it deeper. Those were the points I was really like, but I think in terms of Dr. Hasan Johnson's points, most of them, all of y'all agreed with it. It did not come off to me like it was like an attack or criticism. No, I didn't take it that way.
Yeah, I definitely did want to point that out. Oh, it was something. The double minority status for Black men. Now that was an interesting one because I asked the conservatives this question. Okay, when we look at Black women having that double minority status and white women or women in general benefiting from affirmative action and getting jobs, we look at that as them gaining power, essentially. But when it comes, and this is a conundrum that we're in, because I don't like handouts and shit, but at the same time, it's like, so we view it as them gaining power by being able to get in there and get those jobs. But if you do the same thing for Black men, then it's like then we view it as a handout if it's given to us, but there's power when it's given to them.
Exactly.
You see, and that's a legitimate problem that I think a lot of conservative brothers are in, where we don't want handouts. We don't want to get patted on the head like the retarded kid in the class. Like no, like I want to roll my sleeves up and earn it. So
work.
Yeah, that's the problem we run into, and that's part of the reason why it'll be hard to get a Black conservative movement that will be to the benefit of Black men, because they get in, and we kind of touched on this too. They become conservative and they want to drop a lot of the ideas and concepts of race, and they say, hey, drop all the identity politics and all of that. We're all Americans. That's what Black conservatives do. And then the problems, the problems that exist among Black people or Black men and Black boys, they stay the same. But then we looking down at them saying, hey, pull yourself up, goddammit. That's the problem. That's the conundrum. But no, good job breaking it down.
Sure. I appreciate you coming through, Bernard, always, man. For real, man. You already know.
Yep, no doubt. But no, excellent job. But I just wanted to offer 2 cents on that, man. Just wanted to 2 cents on it. I'm glad you're back streaming, man.
Right, bro. I'm trying to upgrade, man. Like, bro, when I tell you one day when it's over, and hopefully it'll be over soon, it's like it's coming to a wrap. But I'm on a war, man, with legal implications. So I'm like, bro, I can't do it. But I had to at least do this today, bro. But it's coming. I'm coming back harder, stronger, with upgraded equipment, camera, everything.
Right on, man. But all right, man. Take care, brother. Take care.
I appreciate you, Bernard. You too, man.
Yep.
And thank y'all also for watching and commenting. I thank y'all so much. I'm so humble. God bless you. Always remember, if no one in the world loves you, our Lord Jesus Christ loves you. Y'all have a good night.